What Ramos has that those other defenders don't have is this.
Double H. Double H. Double H. Double H. Double H. Double H.
Alright, let's get down to this. This has been a discussion that has probably been branded around for a while now, for several years, and there are many facets to looking at this, and I think for me, even myself, I've sort of changed my viewpoints upon it, looking at his games much more closely. So I think the issue here, which we want to try and dissect it, is Sergio Ramos. Mr. Ramos himself is, can he sit at the same table as the greatest defenders? Can he sit at the same table as some of the greatest defenders that we have seen? Is he a great defender? Is he just living at the benefit of a different time zone? Would he do better against tougher, bigger, much more physical strikers? The thing about this is that, it's very interesting to look at his metamorphosis. Because again, when I remember back during Spain's reign and everything, again, correct me if I'm wrong, so I think this was 2010 World Cup. I believe Echeverria he was the left back. I think he was the only non-Real Madrid, non-Barcelona player in the team, which is crazy. So you had Puyol and Piqué, who obviously the central defenders from Barcelona, and then I believe right back you had Sergio Ramos there. So this is back in 2010, 8 years ago, a long time. So obviously with Puyol then retiring, Ramos obviously now moved into the middle. And I think his defending had to change, because again, if you ask anybody, like, central defense is very different from playing right back or left back. It's just a whole different thing. Yes, you're still a defender, still need to tackle, understand about positioning, offside trap, keeping the line, but the kinds of you're required to read the game a lot better as a central defender, and playing central defense is far more difficult than a right back and a left back. And the thing about Ramos is this, on a base level, he's one of the best defenders in the world currently. That's a fact. That can't be disputed. If we can't agree upon that, then stop the video. There's no point even going through. We have to just agree just on a very basic level. He is one of the best. At his best, he is one of the best defenders in the world. Arguably the best, at his best. So that's just a fact. And the thing about it is that Ramos is very much a modern defender, i.e., he's very good on the ball. He's got great passing. He can easily bring the ball forward into midfield. And he's a goal scorer. He's one of the best goal scoring defenders that we've ever seen. Like, he's in the conversation as one of the best goal scoring defenders that the game has ever seen. So when people look at that and say, wait, and this was the issue I had before I turned around, because I said that I can't call him an amazing defender because he scores clutch goals. I can't call him an amazing defender because he's amazing at passing or he's amazing on the ball. That's different. That's obviously a good thing. That shows that you're doing more than defending. But if we're talking about defending, I want to see your reading of the game, your tackling, interceptions, the amount of mistakes that you make, your positioning, how good you are on one-on-one battles. Those are the things I look at for defenders. So that's very separate. So again, for me, I was like, okay, wait a minute, you can't call him a great because he scores clutch goals. But also, watching him more closely for Spain, for Real Madrid, and so forth, I was like, wait a minute. No, this guy is a very good defender. Now, this guy's reading of the game is really good. He rarely gets himself into poor situations. He snuffs out trouble very early on. Very early on, he snuffs out trouble. His tackling is on point. His aerial ability is on point. And what you're seeing now from him, and he's still maintaining a high level, is his leadership. His leadership, and he's the heart and soul of the team. And I think one kind of mistake, one drawback is his discipline. And I think that is where people who are Ramos critics will say, wait a minute, if you look at a Maldini, a Nesta Costacota, a Baresi, a Yapstam, a Frank de Boer, how many red cards did they get? their discipline was really good. And for me, discipline is huge. Whenever I do the football battles with defenders, discipline is a huge thing. As then, can you make a tackle without getting a card? How many times can you go through 90 minutes as a central defender? How many times can you go through 90 minutes without being carded once? How many fouls do you commit? Can you go through a whole 90 minutes without actually committing a foul? Those are things that put you at a higher level of being a defender. And I think for me, Ramos, the weakest part of his game is this discipline. The amount of times where he just becomes very rash, very erratic, and he just goes in and then just gets carried. So I think that is one drawback of his game. But let's go back to the main topic. You've got Baresi, you've got Beckenbauer, you've got Desai, Cannavaro, Nesta, Maldini, and so forth. You've got all of these greats. Can we put Ramos over there? And my thing is that it's difficult because we have to look at hypotheticals. And something I said out there is that, okay, we're living in a different age now. So for example, how well would Baresi, Maldini, Desai, and Abstam, how well will they do against the speed of Salah, the amazing technical dribbling ability of a Messi, the tenacious and skillful ability of an Aguero? How well will they do in a faster game, a game that's far more attacking, a game where the volume of goals are far higher, and the insistence of teams to attack with many midfielders? Remember, back then, we didn't have the whole thing of inside forwards attacking midfielders. We didn't have that. It was your two strikers and that was it. You had your strike partnership or your lone striker and that was it. And the midfielders were, so it was far more rigid. It's far more fluid now. And for defenders, you have a far more to deal with. So how well would they deal with all of those dudes coming forward? The flip side, for Ramos, how well would Ramos do against having to face strike partnerships? And not only that, far more physical strikers, far more tougher strikers. You can ask defenders, Vieri would have been a hell to defend against. But it still would have been a hell to defend against. Ronaldo would have been a hell to defend against because these guys are physical, they're tough, technically of a high quality, and more times than not, they've got a strike partner. Because dealing with attacking midfielders and a lone striker, very different from dealing with two strikers, especially if they are two strikers who are really good, you know. So my view on it is this. I feel that for Ramos, I would like to think that he'd find it a lot tougher, 100%. He'd find it a lot tougher because for me, the strikers were of a higher quality. But I think he would cope. And the reason why I think he would cope is because of his mobility. And I think his mobility as a player, I think, would help him. Because he's pretty quick. He's agile. He's athletic. And I think his athleticism would be able to cope with the difficulty of strikers who are strong, quick, and have good acceleration. So, again, we go back to the original question. Can Ramos sit at the table of those top defenders? And you see, if I'd done this video like a year ago, I would have said no. Because out of this mindset that, look, man, those defenders are top. Ramos is below them. Ramos is just, look, he's like, he's flavor of the month. We can't say anything, you know. But as of right now, I would say there's a strong argument. Because for me, what I refuse to do is to bring up titles. No. Titles are just titles, you know. So yes, he was a very strong part of the titles that have been won. World Cup, Euros, Champions League, La Liga. But I never want to use titles because, again, it's a team thing. It's, okay, who do you have as a goal scorer? How good is your team and everything? I look at just you as an individual, as a defender. For me, I just feel that if you look at his defending, again, everybody has a bad game. The best defenders, they've had a bad game. But if you just look at it in its entirety, he has more good games than bad games. Far more good games than he does bad games. So when you look at a good game of his, you've got to say this guy is a very good defender. You know, this guy is a very good defender. It is very rarely do I see him lose one-on-ones. Very rarely do I see him fully 100% exposed. Rarely do I see that. Again, there may be games that happens, but the amount of times in which he is because again, Varane is a top defender. Varane is a top defender, so is PK. But at Real Madrid, you can tell that Varane is feeding off of what Ramos is doing. Ramos is the leader defender who's creating things. In Spain, all day, every day, all nights of the week, for their whole career, Ramos has always been the better defender over PK, always. So, because I just feel that, I believe that you look at a Maldini, you look at a Nesta, you look at a Baresi, you look at a Desai. What made them great was the reading of the game. For me, what makes you an elite defender is your reading of the game. The best defenders don't have to make a last-ditch tackle. They don't. And I think it was De Boer that said this. He said that the key thing to defending is you are 3 steps ahead. Because if you're 3 steps ahead, you never have to make a last-ditch tackle. You never have to make a recovery tackle because you know the ball that's going to be placed. So even if you're positioning yourself 2 or 3 yards away, you're going to get there before because your mind already knows that, yeah, he's going to play that through ball. He's going to make that run. Yeah, he's going to fake to go right, but he's going to turn in left. So once you're anticipating what's going to happen, you're going to always beat dude. You're always going to snuff that position because it makes it a lot easier for you as a defender. And it means that you're not in tough, difficult situations. And I think what Ramos has been doing really well in the last few years is his reading of the game. Because before, he would be erratic, overhead kicks and everything. But right now, you're looking at him where Ramos, boom, he's honed in. And again, a lot of times I'm seeing a lot of top games where rarely do I see guys get past him. Rarely do I see him make mistakes. It is very difficult for a runner or a guy just to win a one-on-one battle or to get onto a through ball that offsets and just gets past Ramos. Again, it has happened before. It doesn't happen on a high basis. So, his career isn't over yet. Like, you look at De Boer, Desai, and Baresi, their legacy has been written. It's over. So we can look at the entire page. Ramos is not retiring anytime soon. So I cannot come out and say, nah, he'll never be regarded as one of the greats. No. As of right now, there is a strong argument. There is a strong argument right now because he is, of his generation, one of the best defenders of his generation. I mean, come on, look. As of right now, let's say all the defenders are at the very best. Who do you pick? Defenders at their very best. Who do you pick? I'm picking Ramos. Van Dijk is great. Koulibaly is great. Godin is great. But what Ramos has that those other defenders don't have is this. That mentality, the winning mentality of at any cost, I'm going to come off and win. And that is huge because that leadership and that quality of like, call me arrogance, call me fool-handed and everything, it permeates through the entire team. If my captain has that kind of thugged out mentality of like, we're winning at any cost, by any means necessary, oh my gosh, man, it elevates the entire team. The entire team is elevated by that. It's just boosts us up. So, his story isn't written. And if another Champions League, another Euro, another La Liga title, he maintains this high level, we've got to put him in there. Anybody that puts him in there now, I can't laugh at that. I would disagree because I would still say that as a defender, I would still say those guys, their bets, I can't say Ramos is a level below the greats. No. He is just below. For me, he can stand near the table. I don't think he can sit at the table yet. He can stand at the table. So, he's close. And if somebody gets up from the chair, people say, yo, Ramos, you can sit here in the meanwhile. But then when homeboy comes, you could stand up. So he's allowed in the room and he can sit at the table when a guy vacates it. So he is close. And the key thing is, let his story be written. All those guys at the table, their stories have been written already. So if this guy adds more trophies, more titles, maintains a high level as a defender, well into his... Remember, 30 at the defenders young. Most of these defenders, Maldini, Costa Curta, Nesta, so forth, 34, 35, 36, they were still playing at a high level. So, because remember, the defending isn't about speed, physical attributes, and so forth. It's about this. Trust me, you can be a defender who runs like a tortoise, but if your reading of the game is great, you don't need speed. You don't need speed. How fast was Baresi? This is a guy with sitting here like that. Do you think that guy was fast? But what made him so amazing was like his reading of the game was amazing. You know, his reading of the game was just amazing. So he knew when things were going to happen. And when you know when things are going to happen, you get there before the other guy who is faster than you can get there, because you know you can see into the future. So yeah, man. But I think, look, man. But what I always ask for people is that you've got to be objective with these things. So if you're not saying, now Ramos is not that great because he dislocated a guy's shoulder, or he's not that great because, all he does is score goals, how good is he really? Then you're not being objective. For me, I'm all about being objective here. And I think, like, Ramos, at the end of the day, he may be considered one of the greatest defenders that we've ever seen. Like, that happened. He's in the conversation. He is in the conversation. We couldn't deny that he is in the conversation. And when all is said and done, we just have to see where the cookie crumbles. All right, peace. Thanks for watching the video. Now think about becoming a Football Hut patron by pledging an amount each month, and then gain access to exclusive content only on the Football Hut patron page. Peace. Head over to the official site at halffootballhut.com, or just click over here.